Hello there, game makers. Today presents a project that allows the player to do a jump combo. A jump combo is repeatedly jumping off enemies without landing on the ground. By getting a high enough combo, the player receives some form of reward, such as a 1-up or stat increases. It's a game mechanic that allows the player to put their jumping skills to the test for the chance of a beneficial reward. Today's project provides its own take on the jump combo by making it do much more than give points and 1-ups. It's time to get started. To start, make a new project. In the new project, right-click on the Sprites folder and select Create Group. Making folders for the assets in your game keeps development organized, and as it advances, makes finding and adding assets more straightforward. Make a sprite and call it SPR Player. I recommend making the player sprite a simple 16 by 16 square and centering its origin to 8 by 8. For the player's GUI, make them 16 by 16. For SPR, Nova Stomp, and Time Freeze, they must be centered and kept to a single sub-image to keep the texture page low. If they are not centered, they will be created in the wrong position. SPR Wall is a standard 16 by 16 square with 155 opacity. Opacity can be edited in this opacity tab in the sprite editor. SPR Slope 1 and Slope 2 must have precise collision checking and separate collision masks on in order for them to work properly. They also have 155 opacity. SPR Enemy 1 is a 32 by 32 with an origin of 16 by 16. The reason its sprite is bigger than the player is because of a bug that happens when the player stands on a slope and the enemy is above or below them. I will describe this bug later in the enemy step event. SPR String is a 32 by 32 with an origin of 16 by 16. The next thing to make is scripts for platform collisions. If you are making a game that only needs vertical and horizontal platform collisions, use collision and moving. If you are certain your game will benefit from the inclusion of slopes, refer to slopes and collisions. The code powering this script uses How2Games' all-in-one platform tutorial, and you should check that tutorial out if you are just looking for functional platform slope collisions. His tutorial is in the description. From past experiences trying to make slopes, this script has given me the best results so far as a GML programmer. What's going on in this script is essentially when moving down a slope, the player is pushed down 1 pixel, making them stay on the slope. When moving up a slope, the player is pushed up 1 pixel, and stops them from clipping into the slope to the best of its ability. While not entirely perfect, it's a sound script that provides results considerably better than the solutions I have personally encountered. The script for enemy collisions is nearly identical, but now direction multiplied equals -1 is added under HSP equals 0 in pixel perfect. Now we're on to the big one, objects. Starting with OBJ player, make the depth -10. Then make create step collision with OBJ spring and draw a GUI event. The project and its source code is in the description. The player's GUI objects need to be placed in a room. To save yourself some tedium, make the GUI objects persistent, so they only have to be placed in a room once. A great place to put persistent GUI objects is in an initialized room. For OBJ player HP, coin total, and player cap, make a create, step, draw, and draw a GUI event. For OBJ player coin, make a create, draw, and draw a GUI event. With OBJ donk count, make a create, step, and draw event. Both OBJ Nova Stomp and Time Freeze have a create and animation end event. The most important object of them all, Parasolid, has OBJ Wall, Slope 1, and Slope 2 as its children. OBJ Wall, Slope 1, and Slope 2 have Parasolid as their parent. By making one collision object be the parent, it makes platform collisions straightforward and makes adding new types of platforms much easier. OBJ Enemy 1 has a create, step, and collision with OBJ Nova Stomp, Time Freeze, and Spring event. The bug in Enemy 1's step event can be solved by making the enemy sprite bigger than the player and slope sprites. If it is equal or smaller than the player and slope sprites, the enemy will be defeated by the player walking up or down a slope. This is because the enemy's step event, is checking if the player is 8 pixels above them. 8 is half of 16, and slopes have the player moving upward. Two objects now remain. OBJ Spring just needs its sprite. OBJ Debug has persistent on and needs to be placed in a room. Make a keyboard escape 1, 2, and R key event and a draw GUI event. For the purposes of this tutorial, I will be commenting out instance destroy so you guys can more easily see the jump combo rewards. All that's left now is making the rooms. Make 3 rooms and name them RM Test, Test Level 1, and Test Level 2. Set the speed to 60 in each room. In the Views tab in each room, tick Enable the use of views and invisible when room starts. In Object Following, select OBJ Player and set the H border and V border to 999. View in room can be customized to your heart's content, though I personally have left it at 650 by 600 and left this alone. In Gamemaker, the room at the very top of the rooms folder is the first thing that the game loads. And in the first room that the game loads, you need to place your debug and GUI objects in it. OBJ debug can be placed anywhere you want, and the GUI objects placements will be different depending on your width and height settings. If you are using the same width and height settings as my test level, you can place the GUI objects in these positions. You can get more precise with how you place your GUI objects by changing snap X and snap Y to 2x2 or 1x1. And after that is done, change them back to default. With the slopes, you can change their direction by pressing flip X. Don't forget to place OBJ player in the room and make yourself a level. With OBJ enemy 1, in its step event, I have just gone and quickly changed VSP to -8 to make the jump height static. This is so testing out the jump combos will be much easier. And after all of that is done, you have made a game with a jump combo. We're able to move around. When we jump, we fall to the ground. We stay on the ground. We're able to go up slopes. We're able to go up and down slopes very precisely. And when we hold down the shift key, we can run. When we see these springs, the enemy can jump on them, and so can the player. We're able to go up slopes smoothly, no matter how scaled they are. We're able to go through walls very precisely. And when we jump on an enemy, the number increases, and when it reaches a certain count, an effect happens, such as the player's health increasing by every jump, the every jump increasing coin count. Eventually, capsules can't go down, health can't go down, and once it reaches Acro Effect 6, Time Freeze activates, and enemies trapped in it are frozen in time, and when we land on the ground, Nova Stomp activates and destroys them. And that's all there is to it. When we press 1, we go to a different room, and the GUI objects are still in the same position. When we go to a different room, they're still in the same position. And when we restart the game, still in the same position. And that's all there is to it. Hey viewers, it's the Hax here. From this point onwards, you can expect long periods of inactivity on my YouTube channel and blog at Tyrant Haxorus. The process of making the project, documenting the project, and then making the tutorial video you're watching right now takes an extraordinary amount of time. I appreciate every subscriber, comment, and like and dislike on my YouTube channel, and I am always working on finding something worthwhile to make a video on. With the advent of Gamemaker Studio 2, I cannot guarantee this project and the ones I've made in the past will work with GM2. Thank you for watching. I hope this project has helped you out on making compelling gameplay for your own creations. Like and subscribe if you think my content's worth your time, and I will see you in the next one.